my
Yep.
screen?
Great.
Okay, cool. So yeah, hi everyone. Thanks a lot for the invitation. I'm Leo. I'm visiting researcher at ServiceNow Research, and I'm here to present DoomArena. So this is a project to evaluate AI agents against a number of evolving security threats. Also, I don't see the chat or raised hands, so if you want to ask questions, feel free to interrupt, because I don't see the rest of what's going on. Yeah, so we'll start by covering some of the current limitations of common testing frameworks and defenses that apply to AI agents. Then we'll cover DoomArena and how we address those shortcomings, and finally some notes about where we plan to invest some resources for future research. So 2025 was poised to be the year of agents. Anyone at NeurIPS probably saw that. Everyone was talking about agents all the time, and but with great autonomy comes a lot of new security threats that were not present or that are amplified by the autonomy and agency that agents have. So if you've been reading the cybersecurity news recently, there's a lot of flags that are raised about evidence that AI agents can actually be double agents in the cybersecurity world, and privacy and security concerns are really top blockers for adoption of agentic AI. So the AI agents, as I said, they not only create new attack surfaces, but they also amplify some existing attacks that already exist. So we started working on this by noticing that the current testing of AI agents and the defense methods, they don't really work they don't do exactly what we want. So the dominant approaches to AI agent security testing are, broadly speaking, the following. So on one hand, you have ad hoc red teaming. So you use some known attack, you try them by hand, you evaluate the impact on your agent, and you iterate like that. So this works for well-known attacks, but it fails to capture to achieve systematic and continuous risk assessment. On another hand, you have the static benchmarks like harm bench, agent harm bench, ST web agent bench, which all include a lot of existing attacks, so that they're very good to evaluate known attacks, and you can defend against them, but they won't be able to capture the dynamic and adaptive attacks that can be relevant to agentic scenarios. So in agentic scenarios, the agent will interact with, say, web pages or tools, and it can be attacked by other agents, by users, by really the amount of things that can attack the agents is pretty large. Finally, there are dedicated dynamic benchmarks. You can think of like Agent Dojo. They treat cybersecurity as a siloed process that's separate from the rest of the agentic evaluation. So you want your agent to be secure, but you also want it to perform well at certain tasks. So we want to have an integrated evaluation of the entire thing. So we're trying to address these big challenges. So there's in a lot of teams and organizations, there's a turn to more AI to secure AI. So specifically, there's a big push for AI-powered guardrails. Apologies for anyone who's working on LlamaGuard. It's actually a very good guardrail model. It's just in the case of agentic in an agentic settings, it's not working well, as we'll show in the next couple of slides. So for testing and research, they continue to show that these guardrail models are porous and not super reliable. So this is really the nature of Gen AI right now. And even when they're performing well, the attackers are constantly innovating and finding new ways around those defenses. So we really have to do a proper security evaluation of any agent in an agentic context. You really need to have something that allows you to iterate fast and develop new defenses that can that you can adapt to evolving threats. And often the guardrails will be implemented using generic and case agnostic definitions because they aim to solve the biggest to solve the greatest number of threats. But when testing it, we can see that it's easy to successfully evade those guardrails, and this can create serious risks. So our answer to that is the DoomArena security testing framework. This is a QR code for the GitHub repo, and there's also a paper that accompanies it, and it's on archive. So this framework is designed to address the weaknesses I mentioned before in the agent security testing that we see today. So this offers teams a framework for strong, grounded, and evolving end-to-end testing on agents. So we want to measure the performance on downstream tasks, as well as being very granular in our evaluation of the threats that the agents will face, as well as being granular in the defenses that we develop against these threats. So DoomArena is built with these four core principles in mind. So it allows a fine-grained evaluation of defenses and attacks in a modular, configurable, and extensible way. So DoomArena is designed to be a plug-in and configurable framework that's designed for evaluating security testing of agents in realistic deployments. So we build it to make it easy to construct realistic security benchmarks by providing some common components for defining tasks, for defining attacks, and success criteria for attacks. This is all within a user agent environment loop. So another important principle for DoomArena is the ability to be very detailed in your threat modeling. So you specify which components you want to attack. So in the context of a web agent, we provide some banners that you can attack. We provide some pop-ups that you can add. You can define when these appear. You can also modify some elements of web pages by using CSS selectors. So say this would simulate a malicious user in settings like Reddit if you're using WebArena, for example. And it also allows you to combine multiple attacks so that you can see which have constructive or destructive effects when combined. So, for example, you might want to evaluate whether banners with malicious ads or malicious alt text that describe the ads combined with a pop-up have more chances of succeeding, or maybe this is just going to be an overwhelming amount of malicious information, and the agent will be more might be less vulnerable to that. We'll cover the individual and combined attacks in next slides. So yeah, finally, some initial case studies we made using DoomArena on web and tool calling agents. So we evaluated on WebArena and ToolBench. We see that the agents we evaluated have significant vulnerabilities, and this really highlights the need for more effective defenses against them. We tested very, very basic defenses. We tested guardrail models like LlamaGuard, and LlamaGuard was not able to find to identify any of the attacks that we made, even if they were very obvious to the human eye. And we also developed a prompted GPT-4o as a judge that would analyze the web page or the interaction with the simulated users in ToolBench. This was pretty effective, but it raised a lot of false positives, especially in if you're analyzing big Reddit pages. There might be a lot of things that the model can flag as being attacks, even if they're not. And finally, what we found, our overall finding of this study, is that there's no single Pareto dominant agent across all threat models. So there's no agent that is the most secure and best performing across all the threat models. So there are very complex interactions when you combine attacks. So we really need to have good defenses and to have fine-grained analysis. So let's take a closer look at how DoomArena is built. So DoomArena is going to assume that deployed agents can be modeled as a three-way loop consisting of an agent. So the agent can be anything like OpenAI operator, Project Mariner from Google, or of course any agent built on top of a ServiceNow agentic framework. Another part of the loop is the environment. So the environment can be anything like Browser Gym. So Browser Gym is an environment for web agents built by ServiceNow. ToolBench, a tool calling agent benchmark that was released by Princeton University researchers, or basically any other environment you can think of. OS World, which is something we're working on right now. And in the end, you have the user that has a request for the AI agent. So every one of these nodes, the agent, the human user, and the environment can potentially be malicious. So the human user can have malicious requests. The environment, the web page you're using, for example, can contain some malicious elements. And the AI agent itself, potentially. You can think of an AI agent based on an LLM that was fine-tuned to have some kind of backdoor, such that when a certain trigger on the page appears, it's going to do some malicious action that you couldn't foresee. So any of those three nodes can be malicious. So to have a good and grounded security evaluation, you really need to have a framework that allows you to test attacks and defenses at every one of these nodes in order to get a true sense of vulnerability of your agent when deployed in the wild. So that's why we built DoomArena as a flexible and extensible framework. So let's walk through a couple of this strengths of the framework. So this is a figure that's taken from the paper. So we'll cover the abstract architecture, and then we'll see a more in detail representation of how it works. So DoomArena is built to have a very fine-grained analysis of your threat modeling. So it's built on a complete decoupling of the attack and the environment. So we have a library of attacks that can be used across many different environments. So let me clarify what this means. So for example, in OS World, this is a computer use benchmark that works at the OS level on your computer. So in OS World, there will be some tasks that require navigation in a web browser. And this is also the case in the Browser Gym benchmarks that are for web agents in a single web page. So both of these have web pages, and they could use some similar kinds of attacks. So here, because the attacks are decoupled from the environment, as long as you have a way of inserting your some specific attacks in your environment, you can use attacks from our attack library. So attacks can be pop-ups, banners, or malicious text that is replaced in a given web page. So this the way you insert an attack inside your environment is by configuring an attack gateway, which is just a wrapper around your existing environment that allows you to insert these attacks. The attack will be inserted using an attack config, which contains the attack itself, as well as a success filter, which tells you whether or not the attack is successful, and an attackable component. So not necessarily all of the components of your environment are attackable at all times. So more expanded in detail view of the framework. So here it's we're assuming that we're dealing with the ToolBench attack gateway, so the tool calling benchmark, with an attack that's based on a user that wants to get a refund it is not entitled to. So based on the attack configuration, we say that we can insert this attack at step N in the process. You don't want to, because in a realistic setting, you won't have the attack that appears all the time. You might want to have it only at the first step of when your agent is deployed, only when certain conditions are met. And you use a success filter that says whether or not the refund was approved. And in the end, you get an evaluation of whether or not your attack was successful and whether or not the agent was successful in its initial task. On top of that, we have some defenses that we can implement, and we evaluate with or without defenses. So I'm realizing that I'm taking a lot of time, so I'll just move on to the next slide. So here we can see two different attack configurations deployed in the ToolBench setting. So here we are using two different kinds of attacks that each one has a separate success filter. And so the malicious user and the malicious catalog. The malicious user is when the user wants to have a bigger refund than it's entitled to. The malicious catalog is when some tool that the agent is calling can be malicious. So both have very different attack success rates. And this is what we mean by fine-grained, is that you can really define the kind of attack you want as well as the success filter you want, because different attacks can have different goals. So this is really what we mean by fine-grained. You can really test real agent designs on realistic environments to identify and measure real risk. Okay, it's really dependent on the threat model. So I'll go fast over this. So the number and diversity of threats is really growing as AI agents are deployed and they grow in sophistication. So yeah, this is really what DoomArena addresses. So it's easy to integrate new attack types and new threat models. You only need to define an attack gateway, which is essentially a wrapper around an existing environment. So here we have the browser gem environment. So we just intercept the actions of the agent, and if at a certain time step it's time to insert, say, a pop-up or a user review, we insert it by just wrapping around the existing environment. So it's easy to adapt to new kinds of agents and new kinds of benchmarks, because the number of benchmarks and agents is growing rapidly. So so we need to have a security framework that allows to have an extensible evaluation of this. So for example, for OS World, as I mentioned, you can just create a new attack gateway for that, and it's not in the paper yet, but it's cooking, it's in the oven, and we're going to have results very soon for that. So visualization of an attack. So as I mentioned before, we have the pop-up attack that simulates just having a pop-up when you navigate on a page or when some condition happens. So this is a pop-up that appears benign, but in some hidden text of the button, there is a call for the agent to redirect, to navigate to another web page that it should not be navigating to. So in our testing, we show that very best agents based on Claude 3.5. Um, we managed to hijack these agents and redirect them to malicious web pages with 97% success rates in some cases. And just have a quick video to show how it works. This is an example taken from OS World. So this is at the right, at the left, we see the goal of the agent. Pop-up appears, and then the agent navigates to this simulated malicious web page it should not go to. Another example for ToolBench, I'll go very quickly over this. So the assistant says, how can I assist? The user just has a very benign request. The assistant uses a tool to check some details and says, okay, you have a gift card with a balance of $98. You need further assistance, blah, blah, blah. And then the user uses, the simulated user uses a simulated prompt injection attack to a prompt injection attack to get a refund that it is not entitled to. And then the assistant issues this refund that exceeds what it should be entitled to. So this is just a quick example. So okay, enough talk. Let's look at some results. So those are results for ToolBench. In ToolBench, there are two settings. There is the retail setting and the airline setting. So in both cases, there's a user, a simulated user that has some requests for an agent, which is like a customer service agent that assists with changing bookings, issuing refunds, answering some questions about products. There's 115 tasks for retail and 50 tasks for airline, and we can see that. Okay, let me just explain the table a little more. So we evaluate two models, GPT-4o and Claude 3.5, with and without defense. So we also evaluated LlamaGuard as a defense, but because it was completely unsuccessful, we did not include them in the results. So this is just with the GPT-4o defense, and it's a very, very basic defense that when it detects an attack, it flags it and it interrupts the task. So that's why with the defense, the success rate is lower. The task success rate. So here we measure the task success rate without attack, with attack, as well as the attack success rate, and finally the stealth rate, which is the percentage of times where both an attack and the task were successful. So this kind of success is more subtle and more pernicious because it means that the agent is not disrupted and it still behaves in a malicious way. What we see here is that given the different attack types, we have some very, very different results. So and also different results for different models. So for the malicious user attack, we see that GPT-4o is far more vulnerable than Claude. While having similar task success rate. And also, these results are not exactly the same here for the retail setting. While Claude is still a little less vulnerable, the vulnerability appear to be similar. We also see that the combined attacks, so from the retail strategy, we also evaluated the malicious user, but we omitted it from this table for brevity. The combined use case is when both the catalog and the user are malicious, and we see that they have a somewhat constructive effect. So combining them leads to greater vulnerability. Then moving on to the evaluation on WebArena. So this is the subset of results for the Reddit tasks in WebArena. So WebArena is a very it's a web agent benchmark that has 8 domains, but among them there is the Reddit domain, and the tasks are mostly question answering about some information that you have to navigate within the website to find. Here we evaluate 3 settings. We have the banner attacks, which displays banners at the sides of the web page, alongside some malicious description of within the alt text of the banner. We evaluate pop-ups and the combination of both. So here we see that the agents are highly vulnerable to these attacks. So the attack success rates are very, very high, and combining them generally increases the vulnerability of these agents. However, here what we see is that the task success with attack is super low because when using defenses, because the attacks are super disruptive and the agents can very rarely recover by having been redirected to a page that is so out of domain. We also see that the attack success rate with defense, is 0, is because the attacks are super obvious and the defense layer can flag all of them. Okay, so that's it for the main results. Finally, what's the path forward? Like, there's a lot to do. As we see here, the defenses are pretty heavy, and the attacks are not that subtle. So the next steps we want to focus on is on attacks. We want to build stealthier and more subtle attacks, such as like backdoors, fine-tuning on LLMs on some backdoors that could be exploited at test time. This would simulate what malicious users that have a lot of means and that are very meticulous could do. So backdoors, they don't have to be triggered all the time. They can be a certain kind of phishing attack, so that for any individual person the probability is low, but at scale you end up catching a lot of people. And for defenses, we want to build something that is not just okay, we're going to interrupt the task if we detect an attack. We want to have something more realistic that can actually filter out the elements, or just maybe 2-step processes, such that there's this filter that acts between the agent and its actions. And we also want to evaluate Llama Firewall. It just came out. Apparently, it looks very good. So yeah, those are all some parts of the next steps we want to evaluate. So I guess that's pretty much it. Are there
those are interesting questions anyone has?
So what's next with respect to your roadmap to try and further flesh this out?
So how to scale this project? What we want to
Yes.
So yes, the very good question. So we evaluated mostly on web for web agents and tool use agents, like function calling agents. But there's a lot of interest and research in computer use agents that act at the OS level. So we've built a gateway for injecting attacks inside OS world. So this is a large part of our current work. We're evaluating on that, and next we want to do some more large scale analysis of different kinds of attacks, add more of them, and maybe evaluate some backdoors, because we did some engineering to construct this, and now we want to do more science.
Thanks for your presentation today.
Thank you.
What are some ways in which you are looking for contributions or help? There are areas in particular.
I think what would be interesting is if if you built a benchmark for agents, we'd be very interested in collaborating with you just to help you set up your gateway to integrate your benchmark within this, such that we can have a lot of shared benchmarks to evaluate on. So yeah, right now we support 3 benchmarks, but we're working on supporting more, and I think just having more people doing security evaluation as well as just pure task success evaluation would be very interesting. So if you're interested in integrating your benchmark within this framework, it would be very good.
Cool. I might have missed this, but you mentioned at the beginning that it's somewhat agent agnostic by design. Were there particular frameworks you were using to do the tests, or maybe you can talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So yeah, I skipped over this part, but for BrowserGym, BrowserGym allows the construction of agents. You only need to implement one function in BrowserGym, which is it's called get next action. So you just need to implement one thing. It's based on the BrowserGym framework that we develop at ServiceNow, but it's not restricted to this kind of a framework. It just makes it easier. Like, it tags all of the elements of your web page. It provides a common action space. Yeah, and just support for experiments. And for ToolBench, we really use like their default agents by swapping out the models used as the backend.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, Leo, thanks so much for the presentation. This is a very interesting project. It's obviously addressing a broad problem we have, which is how to use agents effectively. So very interested to see how this goes.
Yeah, my pleasure. If anyone has questions or just comments, interested in collaborating, you can just reach out to me. I'm on Slack, email.
One quick question. You talked about retail and also another domain. Have you looked at anything healthcare specific in terms of?
We have not, but we use the retail and airline because those are the 2 domains within the ToolBench benchmark. But if you have a healthcare specific benchmark, that would be something very interesting to try, especially because of all the privacy concerns you need this domain.
Yep. Yeah, there are some that Stanford has created and is being used. So maybe Dean, maybe a follow-up that maybe we can explore if that's something that we can look at.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, in general, domain-specific evaluation needs is just a growing concern and something that we're trying to address as best we can as an organization.
Yeah.
Okay, any final comments, questions? All right. Once again, Leo, thanks so much, and we'll see you all next